It's very much like you asked a question for me to consider something about Thomas Aquinas, and I'm not really a Thomistic person, but I know enough to know that he would approve of the God above and the natural order below. But the natural order below, the diagram would be, the arrow would point from natural world to God. In other words, point up. In fact, if you look around this campus and all these Gothic windows all around here, they all have a point to them. They are shaped like this to draw your eye in a vertical fashion to look up, because that's where the final truth is going to come from. And so Aquinas would say that the natural world has in it many, many traces of the Creator. It's all the systems are set in motion by the Creator. And you can see God's fingerprints, so to speak, all over it. And by reason, you can get to the point where if you look up, in a sense, you can see coming down from above the completion of what you're looking for. It's coming from outside. It's transcendent knowledge. And that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it would be for someone who was like a process thinker, like Whitehead. God and the world are not separate. God, in fact, is the chief exemplification of all the characteristics of the creation. And so it's not separate from the world. It's actually in contact with the world all the time. There's a part of God that does transcend the world in terms of appreciation of perfection and so forth. But there is a connection between God and the world such that God can feel the world. God can actually pick up from the world things that get God to change God's mind and so forth. And you look in Scripture and you find those things and you go, what? Yes, it's there. God changing the mind of the deity in trying to deal with things like, should he ever have flooded the entire world just because he was upset at the humanity? It was one of the greatest tragedies ever told, and we make it into a nursery rhyme or a little on a nursery wall. You got the Noah's Ark sitting up there. It was an inundation in the entire world, and God decided not to do that again. In fact, the rainbow in the sky is God's reminder, according to the story, that whenever it starts raining, it can't rain that long. So you can always feel that the world is a safe place to live. Anyway, the idea is that there are different ways in which God and the world are connected. Sometimes you see God entirely outside the world, dropping into the world from above. You have sometimes God and the world together and other forms. So this is very interesting. The ancient Hebrews would have looked at the number 2 and said, that looks very much like the universe to me, because they thought of God as being high above the firmament in heaven, and that through holes in the firmament, God sends rain and snow and sends down angels to visit the earth, and God drops down from above to save the earth. And that's the way they depicted transcendence.